You don't listen to all the noise out there, and you just focus on living a purpose-driven life, and you focus on knowing what your own moral compass is. There are always going to be naysayers. But at the end of the day, I used to have a quote up in my room many, many moons ago, and it resonates now perhaps more than ever when you see the vitriol and noise that can be out in the world. And it's by Georgia O'Keeffe, and it's, "I've already settled it for myself, so flattery and criticism go down the same drain, and I am quite free." And the moment that you are able to be liberated from all of these other opinions of what you know to be true, then I think it's very easy to just live with truth and live with authenticity, and that's how I choose to move through the world.
I felt that was a wonderful way of starting my video. There is so much vitriol and so much noise that's gravitating towards Meghan. And it's wonderful to know that she is moving through the world with her head up because she knows who she is, and she knows that she is authentic, and she knows the truth. So all of the negative energy, she's just like, I rebuke this. I rebuke the devil, and I am going to live in my truth. And that is the reason why her and Harry are thriving, and they are happy, and they look moisturized, and they look hydrated. Happy day, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I hope you are having a blessed day. There is so much to talk about, and I'm not going to be able to fit everything in this video. I know it's been a few days since my last video, but baby, it has been crazy. There is going to be some information that might make your blood pressure go up. And I will give you a cue before I get to that information. But there's also information that is hilarious. So let's get it started. So, before I do that, let me remove this beautiful picture of Meghan. And now let's get started. So, allegedly, Prince Harry and Meghan carried out a mega secret operation in Portugal. Now, this supposedly happened after the Invictus Games. As per Portuguese magazine Nova Gente, the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex were invited by Princess Eugenie, Harry's cousin, for a brief visit to the village of Miladies. Now, how did they know that this actually happened? Eugenie had been spending most of her time in the village since last year, particularly due to her husband Jack Brooksbank work commitments, according to the magazine. After the Invictus Games finished on Saturday, September 16th, the couple headed to the country for a lightning trip, claimed the publication. How do they know this information? Describing the excursion as a mega secret operation, they explained that the former royal preferred not to publicize the getaway either through press or their socials. So if they didn't want to publicize this through their press or socials, why are they publicizing it? They arrived in Portugal without their children, and as soon as they landed, they headed to Alatejo and more precisely to Miletus. Now, if I am pronouncing this incorrectly, I'm sorry, and let me know how to pronounce it. So Harry and Meghan are believed to have stayed in Portugal for 4 days before flying to the States to attend a star-studded charity event hosted by Kevin Costner on Friday, September 22nd. This to me sound like, or is looking like, allegedly the Taylor Swift concert, because they were saying that Meghan was at the Taylor Swift concert, but there were no pictures, there were no receipts of Meghan being there. So I don't believe this, but if it is true, good for them. That's good that they, after the Invictus game, they took a break and went to Portugal to relax before flying back to the States to be with their children and their workload. So if it is true, great, but I don't believe any of it. So I got this clip from a squatty, and it says, LOL, I swear that they just can't keep up with the Sussexes. So while paparazzi were busy staking out LAX airport waiting for Harry and Meghan to return from the Invictus games, the couple were off having a fun, romantic time in beautiful Portugal visiting Princess Eugenie. And then you have the laugh emojis. But like I said, if it happened, wonderful. And if not, they need to stop lying. I don't believe that to be true, but what I know is true is SmartWorks celebrated the 10th year anniversary, and they had shared a congratulatory message from their patron, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. But before I go into that congratulatory message, let me give you a back history. And I know there are a lot of squatties who are familiar with everything that Meghan has done previously and what she's doing now, but there are new supporters who do not have an idea. So I'll give you a back history. So Meghan started working with SmartWorks in 2019. SmartWork was established in 2017. So the Duchess helped shine a light in the vital work that SmartWorks do to support women across the UK. Both before and after taking on her role as a patron, the Duchess had made several private visits to the centers and shows before are both a clear affinity with the clients and passion for their cause. So Meghan was visiting the facility before she became a patron. She was interested in the things that they were doing, how they were supporting women and providing the essentials that they needed to go to a job interview and to be successful. And Meghan, her contribution was providing the attire that they needed. Because come on, whether you're a man or a woman, you might prepare for the interview and you might feel good before going into the interview. But if you don't have the right attire, that takes away your confidence. So Meghan stepped in and she wanted to make sure that not only did they feel good, that they felt great. And I have a video. Let me find the video of Meghan in 2019 or 2020, where she was meeting with the women of SmartWorks and she was going over information. Here you go.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. It's very exciting and it looks beautiful. And I'm sorry if you were waiting for a bit in this sunshine, though. It's pretty nice to have such good weather. So I thought that it would probably be helpful for you to understand how we ended up here today and why this collection was so important to conceive based on the visits and what I was seeing when I was on site at SmartWorks. And let's maybe go back a little bit. Should I hold for sound? They're grateful back there. When I first moved to the UK, it was incredibly important to me personally to be able to connect with people on the ground doing really important work. And one of the places that I went to very early on was SmartWorks. Now, funny enough, and purely by coincidence, it was just a year ago at this same time that I was working on a project in Grenfell with this woman at a community center called Almanar, and that's when we put together the Together cookbook. So though this is a year later, and obviously this is fashion, not food, at its core, these are very similar projects because they're about women who are empowering each other, me being able to have the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, learn from them, and then say, what can I do in some small way? How can I try to help you amplify this? How can we make this even better, greater, and more impactful for the women that you're trying to help? So on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. I said, okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer, and I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident, you want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the season. And I kept thinking about it as I went home and it didn't track for me, and I said, we have to do something to change this. And a big piece of this is trying to transform the idea of charity to community. And the way that we do that, I think, as people, is when we go into our closet as a woman and you say, I'm going to make a donation, you don't go through your closet and just toss in a box whatever you don't care about anymore. That's charity as we know it today. Community is going through your closet and saying, this is the blazer that I wore when I nailed my first job interview and got my dream job. And I don't need that anymore because I'm where I want to be. But if I'm able to share that blazer and be part of another woman's success story, then that's community. And so when I thought about it in that personal space, I said, on a bigger level, what can we do with brands, and what companies would be able to help us convene and come together to really build a collection for the women of SmartWorks that could be the pieces that they need to feel confident going into those rooms. This is sort of how we thought of the SmartWorks capsule collection. The first designer that I thought of immediately was a really good.
So that was Meghan talking to the women of SmartWorks. She is such a great speaker. So, like I said, SmartWorks was already doing a great job with working with women to prepare for their interview and prepare just for the workforce. But when Meghan stepped in, she offered a different part that was essential to women, such as their fashion. And just like Meghan said, she said, the reason why I was drawn to SmartWorks is that it frames the idea of charity as community. It's a network of women supporting and empowering other women in their professional pursuits. The concept of reframing charity as community is something that is central to the Duchess. Her launch of Smart Set, I'm sorry, I need water. Her launch of the Smart Set capsule and collection has strengthened the sense of community in what we do, allowing women to support one another and offering a handheld rather than a hand out. I love that. We are incredibly grateful for the Duchess of Success, for all that she does for the SmartWorks community and her continued support. And I also have a video of Meghan working behind the scene for the time capsule. Now, she wasn't working with business attire, but I just want you to know that how Meghan works. She works from the grassroots up. She's there from the beginning all the way to the end, putting in her full support. And here is a video I have.
I helped design for the MeghanMarkle capsule. It's 4 dresses. I'm really proud of them, and they each sort of reflect a different facet of how you could be feeling or a different vibe you want to put out there, and I think people will really enjoy them. I hope so. So a lot of work went into creating these pieces, and I think that's what's been the most exciting for me is the education of how you get something from sketch onto the hanger and into people's hands. And it is a huge process and really a great adventure to be on. So from putting pen to paper and helping with sketches or picking out fabrics, trying things on, making sure the fit is right, I've been involved in all of that, and it's been months in the making. So it's really cool to be able to finally share it.
So that was Meghan when she was doing ad for Reitman. So she wasn't just modeling and doing their advertisement. She was actually working behind the scenes. My girl, she is such a motivation. So here is the message that Meghan sent SmartWorks. She said, "Congratulations to the entire SmartWorks community on 10 incredible years of transforming lives. For the last decade, you have made an indelible mark on women across the UK who have walked into your doors in need of more than just an outfit." They needed someone to believe in them. As I've said before, you provide much more than a handout. At SmartWorks, you provide a hand held. I love that. Over the years, I've seen firsthand the unforgettable smile that comes across a woman's face when she receives the SmartWorks experience of care, inspiration, and empowerment. Something changes for her in that moment and set her on a path she may never have thought possible. At SmartWorks, you are investing in the future of women and as a result, the world. I am so grateful to all of you who make this work possible each and every day. Celebrating you from across the pond and wishing you another amazing decade. So that was from the Duchess of Sussex. And that was not the only thing that Meghan is working on. Harry and Meghan, Archwell Foundation has helped fund a report examining roles that news media organizations play in the spread, escalation, and encouragement of online hate speech in Australia. So you can find this article on purpose.com, and they go over the work that Archwell Foundation, which is a foundation founded by Harry and Meghan, and what they're doing with online hate. The title of the article is, of course, Online Hate Speech in Australia, the role of news media and pathways for change. And this article was printed September 25th of 23. Now, I'm not going to read the entire article, but I want to give you the gist of what Harry and Meghan is doing. So, online hate speech is particularly visible and toxic element of social division. It fosters the negative targeting of communities, diminishes. Let me start all over again. Let me get a drink of water. I've been fighting a cold, and that's the reason why it took me a minute to make another video. Let me try this again. Online hate speech is particularly visible in toxic elements of social division. It fosters the negative targeting of communities, diminishes people well-being, erodes social cohesion, and is linked to violence as well as knee-jerk, counterproductive policy design. Within our complex and evolving information ecosystems, news media institutions have enormous power to influence public discussions and catalyze online activity. For this reason, they require special attention and accountability when it comes to online hate. And I tell you, Harry, especially Meghan, they know firsthand about online hate. In this two-part study, we explore the roles that news media institutions play in the spread and escalation of online hate speech in Australia. Our research has produced practical examples and analysis to support policymakers, community advocates, news media practitioners, technologists, and other stakeholders working to reduce online hate. This is a beautiful initiative. And I know that Harry and Meghan Archwell Foundation is going to do what they need to do to help minimize online hate. I don't think that they would be able to get rid of it completely, but I also believe that um, the media and communities and um, like, okay, for instance, and I hope I don't get in trouble for this, YouTube is a big influence. There are so many people on YouTube, including myself. But as you can see, the pro Sussex channels are not getting the same amount of traction as the hate channels. And YouTube is allowing the hate channels to continue. And there is so much hate and lies and gaslighting on those channels. And all they're doing is pumping the mass minds with hate. And they are influenced by these channels. So, yes, it is imperative that channels or platforms just such as YouTube or GB News or Twitter or Instagram, that they really cut down on the hate and the lies that's being spewed out there. So this is a great initiative and I am for it. I hope you are also. But here's the thing. When Omid Scobie put that out there, then I started seeing articles about Prince William and how he told tech leaders do more to counter cyberbullying. So they wanted to put it out there that, okay, yes, that's cool that Harry and Meghan are working with an organization to minimize online bullying, but Prince William used to do it too. The Duke of Cambridge has called the world leaders social media companies to reject the false choice of profits over values and do more to counter cyberbullying and other problems that are created. Now, they're saying that he's been working with tech leaders since 2016, but I'm going to tell you, baby, you must practice what you preach. You can't do a PR stunt and make it, you know, have your watchdog, such as the British media, put out all these articles to make you look good and to say, oh, he's working with techs to counter cyberbullying when you are the bully. So, do you have any doubt that the denigration, dehumanization, and commodification of Meghan Markle was sanctioned by the palace? Tim Shipman was sure he cited Prince William, but it also includes King Charles. So this go back to the time when Harry introduced Meghan to the world. And I've been knowing this for years, and people who's been following Meghan ever since Harry introduced her, we are fully aware that William and Charles, but specifically William, has been working with the British media to smear Meghan. So in 2019, April 22nd, to be exact, the Times printed an article, and there was a section that I felt that was vital, and I'm going to read that to you. The sense of embattlement has been entrenched by William's decision to reach out to senior figures in the media as he prepares for kingship, and by the apparent decision of those same newspapers to side with the palace over Meghan and Harry by peddling the most negative coverage of the Duchess's relationship with her father. So Kensington Palace was working with the media on the most negative coverage of the Duchess's relationship with her father. Now, mind you, these articles that they've been putting out that Prince William is working with, tech leaders to diminish, or not, they didn't use the word diminish. What word did they use? To counter cyberbullying. But baby, action, like I said, action speaks louder than words. We know that you've been working with the media on the most negative coverage to smear Meghan. We know that you sent Jason Knopf in 2021 to side with the very press that has been smearing, gaslighting, and doing everything possible, and I hate this word, but it's the truth, to destroy Meghan. We are fully aware of that. That is a fact. We hear that the people who are now supposedly your friends, but previously they were saying that all of the calls about Harry and Meghan was coming from the palace. We hear the people who work behind the scenes saying they can't understand why the people at Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace are leaking on their own. We heard it or read it from Harry in his book when he was saddened by the fact that something that him and his brother had talked about, that they would never leak against each other. And he was saddened by the fact that his brother was doing that to him and his wife. So I don't believe this article. And I'm going to say it again. You can't talk about it, baby. You have to be about it. Now, the next tweet Omid Scobie put out that I find to be hilarious, where I looked at this, threw my head back, and laughed. So it said, Prince William and Princess Kate will mark the start of Britain's Black History Month. Ha ha ha. With a visit to Wales, where they will carry out 2 engagements focusing on how young people of color are creating positive change in the country. And then Kensington Palace released their own information. They said to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the arrival of the HMT Empire Windrush to the UK and mark the start of Black History Month, the Prince and the Princess of Wales will visit Cardiff to meet members of the Windrush generation and celebrate the work of diverse community groups in the area. Now, where were they when the UK was sending people from the Windrush generation back to where they came from? Where was their support? And as far as I know, since Meghan and Harry left, William and Kate has ignored Black History Month. Okay? They have not said anything about Black History Month in the last few years. So why now? Why do they give a darn about Black history? In my opinion, this is all a PR stunt. So, like I said, let's focus on it's not what you say, it's what you do. We need to see action, baby. We need to see action. So, remember when William and Kate had the Caribbean tour? Remember how they dressed, how they cosplayed like they were something out of the Revolution or the Civil War? Look at William on that picture and look at Kate. This was a disgrace to the Black people in the Caribbean. Remember that picture or the video when they were shaking children's hand behind cages? This pretty much lets you know that they know nothing about Black culture. And they still see themselves as superior and blacks as inferior. Now, the kids that you see on here, they were not out there for William and Kate. William sent Marcus, oh, I forgot his name, but I know he plays football. They sent a black footballer out there to bring the crowd out. So to make it look like, all of these black people are there for William and Kate. But it was not true. And remember this video? Do you see how uncomfortable she looked around black people? Let me show you that again. So they're sending Prince William and Kate to Wales to celebrate Black History Month. Like James Baldwin said, and I'm going to keep repeating this when I'm talking about William and Kate, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. So there was also this crazy information that's been going on. Now, it started before Tom Bower's book where they were saying that Momma Doria, now this is a situation that might make your blood pressure go up. So I think that this would be a good idea for you to fast forward. So there's these lies that's going on about Momma Doria used to be a drug dealer. She used to do drugs and she was in jail. They are not true. You see the images below? Now, that was a picture of Snoop Dogg where he was holding what you see, and his shirt had, um, you know, marijuana on it. So they photoshopped that and put it on Momma Doria and put it out on social media where people thought that this was a previous picture of Doria holding you know what and wearing that shirt, which is a lie. And then they also used this man named Dorian Ragland, who was a drug dealer and who was in jail. They used his information and put Doria's information on there. So Tom Bower, the despicable Tom Bower, had a book and provided this type of information in there that was definitely a smear tactic and definitely lies, and then went on um British media to spread the lies. Now Tom Bower was, if he did his research like he was supposed to before writing the book, he was fully aware that this was a LIE, but he pushed the LIE anyway. And the British media are fully aware because, come on, they vetted Meghan back in 2016, 2017. It and her family. So they are all fully aware that this was untruth, but they pushed it anyway. And then I have a clip on here of a social worker. She said, I am a member of the National Association of Social Workers, NASW. Miss Ragland graduated from USC with a Master's of Social Work, MSW. She completed her supervisory hours and is currently licensed to practice in the state of California. She was never in prison or used drugs. Now, let me tell you about the state of California. If you were in prison, you cannot be a social worker. You cannot use drugs and work as a social worker. So I'm going to tell you all who's listening, don't believe the hype. They are all lies. Next. So Prince William is going to be holding his Earthshot Prize in Singapore. And as we all know, they're pushing it out there that Catherine is not going to be there. And they are using their children, Prince George to be exact, to say that Kate is going to be with Prince George to help him with his exams that week. Now, all this time, Kate has been with William. But ever since they've been pushing this, well, they haven't really been pushing anything, but we are fully aware from the videos that we see and just everything that we've been reading that William and Kate are no longer together. They are no longer together. And I don't care what anyone says. All the red flags are there. And so Catherine is not going to be in Singapore because William doesn't want her to be there. What was the excuse when William was in America? Was she helping Charlotte with her exams? So they tried to put information out there to try to make Meghan look bad when Meghan was late for the Invictus Games. They said Harry and Meghan together again after she blames, look at that word, blames milkshakes and drops-offs for absence from Invictus Games. So since they put it out there that Meghan blamed milkshakes, I am going to say that Kate blames Prince George exams for her reason for not being there with her husband at all. Meghan was just late. And we saw the video clips and the pictures. Once she arrived, they were in love. But we don't see that when it comes to William and Kate. And then we have that dingbat, vulture, Angela Levin, who they call a royal commentator. She said, the Duchess of Sussex speech drew attention away from the real victims of the Invictus Games. Meghan's speech was maybe 5 minutes or less. The Invictus Games was 7 days. So Meghan's influence and her power is so strong that the royal commentators are sick when Meghan is giving a 5 minutes or less speech. They are totally intimidated by Meghan and Harry's love and their work. And because of this, as we all know, Kate is cosplaying Meghan. Big time. I don't care what anyone says. She is cosplaying Meghan. Now, I saw this article. Look at that picture. I believe it. I believe that Kate is going to wear that poncho. She's got to. She's got to look like Meghan. She's got to feel like she's important by wearing the same attire and the same hair as Meghan. Look at her hands. She can't help herself. So there was an article that was out that says, stylist claims Meghan Markle and Princess Kate are copying each other. And the only reason why this article was written 2 days ago is because they are fully aware that Kate is copying Meghan, but they don't want the Princess of Wales to look like she is infatuated by Meghan. So they put this article out there to say, no, it's just not the Princess of Wales. It's Meghan also. Meghan is also copying Kate. But let me show you some videos, baby. Meghan has never copied Kate. She has no reason to copy Kate because Meghan is the blueprint. Even when Meghan was pregnant with Archie, she was killing those. Oh, I forgot. Let me be nice. Meghan was in a league of her own. Let me show you how it's done. Meghan is in a league of her own. She's not cosplaying anybody. It is one-sided. So don't believe the hype, okay? And just like RBG said, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she said, fighting for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. So Meghan is such a blueprint, and she's so authentic about the things that she care about that people are copying her. Kate, to be exact. Now let's get into the drama. And I'm going to get through this very quickly because I've already been talking 42 minutes. Let's start. So there has been some, oops, let me put that on pause. There has been some craziness going on Saltine Island that is hysterical. So all of these people are getting suspended. All of these people who's been talking smack about MeghanMarkle. Karma is relevant, and karma doesn't discriminate. So let's get into it. So Dan Wootton and Laurence Fox were suspended because they were saying, or not they, but Laurence Fox was saying making misogynistic comments about a lady named Ava. I'll let you hear the comment that was said. One moment, please.
Fox made highly sexist on-air remarks about the journalist Ava Evans. The show's host, Dan Wootton, laughed along and then later apologized. Next, Fox was suspended by the station, followed by Wootton. The regulator Ofcom is now looking into the exchange, and the channel has launched an investigation. Our culture correspondent, Minnie Stevenson, picks up the tale.
If it's happening, we're talking about it on Britain's newsroom.
GB News, Britain's news channel.
Delivering news and noise, they are the self-styled home of free speech. But in a rare rowback, GB News has suspended their presenters Dan Wootton and Laurence Fox over this misogynistic exchange about political journalist Ava Evans.
Show me a single self-respecting man that would like to climb into bed with that woman, ever, who wasn't an incel.
Now, we're not going to broadcast the rest, but the conversation becomes increasingly sexist and explicit. Dan Wootton is clearly smirking. The exchange has received widespread outrage from across the political spectrum, including disgust from the channel's own employees. While journalist Ava Evans says despite unwillingly becoming the subject, she isn't the story.
This is a presenter, guest, gallery, production issue that is nothing to do with me. I just so happen to be the person they're talking about.
There are now serious questions for media regulator Ofcom, who say they...
Yeah, so it took a blonde-haired white woman to get them suspended after all the vitriol and the hate that's been spewed against Meghan, but I'm not going to get into that. So yes, Dan Wootton and Laurence Fox has been suspended for making terrible remarks about this woman named Ava. So after that night, there was an apology from Dan Wootton. He said, I want to reiterate my regret over last night's exchange with Laurence on GB News. Having looked at the footage, I can see how inappropriate my reaction to his totally unacceptable remarks appears to be, and want to be clear that I was in no way amused by the comments. And then Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, put this disclaimer under his comment or his so-called apology. And they said, Laurence Fox has shared a private message conversation between himself and Dan Wootton, where they laughed and joked about his contribution. Mr. Wootton shares several crying with laughter emojis, which strongly indicate that he was indeed amused by Mr. Fox's contribution. So X is saying, oh no, this apology is a lie, and you are throwing Laurence Fox under the bus because you were fully aware and was laughing at what he said about the lady named Ava. And then Laurence Fox came back and said a phone call might have been polite. By matter of interest for the audience contributors, do a pre-interview before going on. So they knew exactly what I intended to say. So Laurence Fox came and he provided receipts. And he was saying, no, Dan Wootton, I don't care what you're saying. You guys were fully aware of what we were going to talk about before going on air. And here are the receipts. Bang. So there, as you can see it on here, he provided the proof. And then he goes back because he wanted to be macho. And he said, just so we are clear, I would rather scrub toilets for the rest of my days and retain my dignity than shield for cash and opportunity only to compromise compromise absolutely everything which really matters in life. I've made many millions over the years and I gave them up to fight a battle I didn't want to fight. So if you think that some half-baked pile on is going to stop me, think again. I am truly free. And then he realized all of his words had consequences and this might impact his future. So he came back and he said, "Ooh, let me apologize." So here is here is his apology after he said that he would rather scrub toilets rather than apologize.
I was going to be sensible and I could replay it. I would say any self-respecting man in 2023 would probably be well advised to avoid a woman who possessed that worldview, because she would probably cause him nothing but harm. But what I did say was, I wouldn't shag that and all that sort of stuff, which is not right and it's demeaning to her, to Ava. So I'm sorry for demeaning you in that way, however angry I am with you still for doing that. And it demeans me because it's not representative of who I am. And also I'd like to add that I'm not saying any of this stuff because I know I'm going to get sacked tomorrow. I'm saying this stuff to clear my own conscience. Narrative has been spun and a scapegoat has been found, which is me. And I don't think that that's been particularly fair. I'd like to add some context to why I posted Dan Wootton's, I reposted it. Dan was, as you probably know, Dan's been in a lot of hot water after a sort of Byline Times attack on him. And I provided Dan with probably several weeks of daily moral support and encouragement and the full access to free legal services that
So Laurence Fox, not only did he give a half apology, but he also then threw Dan Wootton under the bus by stating, when Byline Times, when they completed their 3-year investigation, buddy, I was there for you. I provided you with all the things that you need, even money to help you with the smear campaign, or allegedly smear campaign, that they had against you. So they are stabbing each other in the backs because they are underwater and they are trying to keep their heads afloat because they are realizing that, yeah, you can smear a black woman and get away with it. But when you are trying to smear a white woman with blonde hair, there are consequences, baby. And then here comes this dumb biracial black man who calls himself a freaking priest, who is a friend of Dan Wootton. What's his name? Calvin Robinson. Now, mind you, this is a so-called priest, and he is a friend of Dan Wootton. So he put out there, after Dan Wootton and Laurence were suspended, he said, I will not be appearing on Dan Wootton's Tonight without Dan Wootton. Dan Wootton had a significant part to play in building GB News. He invited me along pre-launch. He also brought so many people up on board behind the cameras as well as on-screen talent, including the careerist, ambitious ones who are currently gunning for his job. These people are worse than the woke mob because these vultures are giving the mob ammunition and essentially escalating the channel's demise. So, and then there was more that he put out, the so-called priest. And then he realized the next day Your words come with consequences. You don't have to worry about not appearing on Dan Wootton's show when he's not there. You're not going to be on anyone's show because you are suspended also, baby. Back to James Baldwin. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And that's how I'm going to end my video today. Well, actually, this week has been awesome. If you liked the video, please hit like. You can share the video, or if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification so whenever I have material, you will be the first to get my material. And until my next video, and I am laughing, I think we should laugh together because everything that these people are doing, karma has been sitting back and was like, okay, baby, I'm coming after you. I don't care who you are. You will understand consequences. And until my next video, peace.